So to help us understand bindings more specifically and give you guys a dashboard you can play around with, this is what we are going to do. We are going to load a data set to use for this sample binding dashboard or Bindings 101. Once we load the data set, we are going just to create any step, create a dashboard and create any step from that data set. Now we have the data set ID there. We are going to go back to the JSON file for a dashboard that was created in another org, and we want to update the data set to the ID to this new data set, then copy paste the JSON and have the dashboard available with you. So essentially we are doing a manual migration of a dashboard that was created in another org, and since it's manual, we just need to update the data set IDs, and this is what we're going to do in the following slides. So first we are going to create the data set from a CSV file, select a file, and the data set is called Sample Data Bindings 101. Sample Data Bindings 101. Hit next. Keep it the same name. This is important to keep the data set the same name so you don't have to update the name itself, just the ID. Hit next. As you can see, it's again sample of 3 rows, same thing, opportunity ID, stage, amount. Hit upload file. While this gets created, I can close this. At the same time, go to your JSON editor online or your Sublime or any tool you are using. You are going to open a new file. This file is called Bindings 101 Dashboard JSON. So this is called Bindings 101 Dashboard JSON. It is the JSON of the dashboard created in another org. We will open this file. Notice now no error because it is a proper JSON file. And across this file, many times we are using steps, and every time the steps, a step references the data set. So you can see that the name is the same, but this ID is different than the ID in our environment. So you can scroll all the way down if you want, or it could have been the first one, it's up to you. What we want to do is replace this, wherever it's found, by the new data set. So let's go back to our environment, or the one we have just created, the CSV. Let's refresh it. Create a dashboard, blank dashboard, and hit the canvas anywhere to see create step. I need the sample data bindings 101. This is the new data set from the CSV. And just count rows, hit done. I just need the step. Now I have the step, I have the data set ID on the dashboard. You can hit Command E or Control E, go to the JSON, go all the way down, and now you see the new ID. Again, the name is the same because we did not change the CSV file name, but the ID is new. It's SAC, for example. So let's copy this ID, Control copy, go back to the JSON editor online. Notice here it's different. Hit the cursor anywhere inside, then Command F, Control F, and you want to hit this plus sign right here. Now, we are replacing it with what we are carrying. We are going to put the ID from the new org here. And the one we're trying to update or replace is this one here, Control copy, Control V. So I'm trying to replace all the CAGs with SAC. 22 of them should be replace all. And now I just replaced all of these. Just to make sure, I'm going to try to find one more time. Let's see. And again, it was replaced, all of it. Now that we have replaced all the IDs on this file with the new one, and nothing has changed from the name perspective, Control A, Control copy all of this, all the way back to the new dashboard right here, Control A, Control V, and hit done. You should be able to see the dashboard once you update the JSON and hit done. Everything should look like on the screen. Again, we just kind of manually migrated the dashboard. And this dashboard we are going to use to explore the binding syntaxes a little bit more. Now one more thing, let me just add image. This to complete the picture. Just shout out to Chucks Kandasamy on the team who helped creating this dashboard to explain bindings for the users. Now, taking a look at this dashboard, what it has is just a step based on the data set and a bunch of other steps that are on these widgets that are interacting with the main step here. Now, one way to look at the bindings is you can hit Command E and go find the curly bracket and start exploring where these bindings are used, for example. So you can see, for example, in this one, it says cell as a string. It's a compact form, aggregate flex, just because I'm looking at it right here, it looks compact form. And what we are using is in the filters, we are going back to that table step, listening to certain fields, selection, and updating the filter. Now, another easier way is just to go to each step. There's the drop down, and you can say show details. When you hit show details, you are going to get this menu on the right, but also go to show more details right here. And this will tell you the original query looks like this. It's a measure of count, group by opportunity ID, but the filter itself has a binding. And it's listening to that first step called table step 1. We're waiting for selection. We are waiting for an interaction from the user, listening to the first selection. It could be a multi-select. Read the value of opportunity ID, pass it as object. Like I said, cell as object, cell as string, pretty much similar in this case. Let me just confirm that for one bit. Actually, I do take back a little bit on this. So the cell as string will add the double quote. So again, just a slight correction here. The cell as string will add the double quotes as we explore that. So back to our step. When we are cell as object and we go to show details, so first time we are not selecting anything. So this whole binding is going to evaluate to null. And again, I'm looking here as string, so I selected the other one. This is the one with as string. So the whole selection inside right here is evaluating to null. This is the first one right here. Then, because we say as string, we are going to add the double quotes to null. So now the filter is saying, find me the opportunity ID of a value that is null. And if you look at the opportunity IDs, there's nothing null, of course. And this is why, again, we are looking here at cell as string, not this one. This is why it's no results found. This is different than the cell as object. So if you go to show details, for this one, this says all of this is as null. But since we are using as object, and again, I correct myself, as object in this case is taking out the double quotes. It's not supplying at least the double quotes as string. Hence, when the original query looks like this, we are going to get opportunity ID, comma, null, which evaluates to no filter, and hence we get all the results right here. Now, if I select one value, this should update to GIAS. GIAS, if I look at show details, again, original query, the first one evaluates to GIAS, then the whole thing keeps it as object. It is, there you go, double string. It works fine to GIAS. Now, if I click on two selections, now I have, this is the 0, this is the 1. Doesn't matter which way I click on this or the order, because this query already is ordered in certain order. So for example, if I say nothing is selected, I'm going to click on qualification and then needs analysis, this one. I expect to see IAAS, not OI. There you go, IIAS, because again, it's row 0, the first selection. First selection. Now clicking on one value, if you go back to cell as string, it does work too. So in this particular case, if I say show details, click on this. In this particular case, it is adding the double quote to the value, keeping it like this. And again, this works as same thing, IIAS, results IIAS. If we go to column as object, I have two selections. Because it's column, it will pass all the values. So let's take a look at it. Show details. Show details. Original query looks like this. Column, from the table step, selection, pass me the column, all those values of that column as object. We selected 2. This is what we get. We get these 2 listed in an array, which the filter expects. So if the filter, regardless of binding, if we were using multiple values in a filter, I would expect a square bracket, an array of values, and a square bracket. And this, the filter accepts, the JSON of dashboard accepts, it will not error out. Why I'm stressing on this? Because if I go to the third one here, which I cannot display what's wrong with it, but if I go back and see what is this is row as object. So the issue here, if it's null, no problem. Like I said, null, null, value is to null. But the moment I select a value or more, what's happening, row is adding 2 square brackets. So it's an array of an array, and the filter was not expecting this, and that's why it's erroring out. The filter expects only array with values, not 2 square brackets, just 1 square bracket in this particular section right here, and that's why it errors out. The moment we select something, it will error out. As we scroll down, let's take a look at column as string. This is pretty much the same, because I am saying nothing null here. Then I say as string, it adds double string. Now it becomes a value, and there's nothing in the opportunities of value null. I only have, again, these 3 values. There's nothing called null here. The moment I select a value, however, this says no results found. So let's take a look. What's the difference between column as object and column as string? Show details, show details. The issue here is the column itself is evaluating fine. It is one value. But the moment you put as string, it's trying to escape. First, it puts double string against everything, and then tries to escape the inside strings. So now the new value the filter is looking for it is square bracket slash double, it's escaping. So square bracket 006B00. And in my data, there's nothing square bracket 00. Similarly, if I select 2, again, it's passing these as array, then all of this syntax, which is not comprehensible, not a value, especially with the comma 2. Bottom line, do not use column with as string, use column with as object. Let's take a look at this, show details. This is row as string. Now row as string is not really erroring out, but it's not returning results. So let's take a look at it. Again, this is row. Row will return array of an array. The reason it's not erroring out, because we're adding this double quote, it's expecting a value that says double array 006, comma, etc. So when we did not have as string, we had as object as in the first time. What was happening is when we select, it was keeping array of an array, like I mentioned, and it was erroring out because the filter section does not expect more than a square bracket depth here. That's it. Scroll down to this one and let's show details. So this one, this is actually a so-called step. The reason I recognize it because it's using this statement. Select stage name from opportunity where. Besides the obvious, it's called so-called multi. Also, Command D, Control Find, so-called multi, and there you go. This is the step I'm talking about, and the type is so-called right here. Right here, so-called multi. So this is a so-called query. It's going all the way back, bringing stage name and sum of amount as of now, bypassing the data set directly from the opportunity table. And it is specifying a dynamic filter, a binded filter. where stage name is in this criteria or syntax. So let's take a look at it actually from the detailed section. Maybe it's just easier. And we are going to pick 3 values just to show the values coming back, show details. So this is the original query. What's happening is, first we want to look at the column section. Before we look at the join, look at the values returned from the column. So look at the table stage, table step, return stage values. I selected 3, I returned this one, this one, this one, because it is column table selection. Now, the join in this section is working with asterisk just to reformat the values read into a format that the so-called query understands. So it's joining, it's adding this right here. It's adding a single quote, comma quote. So when you use join, you're dropping the array, you're dropping the square brackets, then you're adding these small quotes with a comma so that the syntax in the so-called can actually execute, and then the results. There's only 2 stages live in the database on the opportunity versus our original step had 3, which means pretty much that one of the stages has changed, for example, in this case. Just if you're wondering why am I getting only for 2 stages versus on the dashboard I have 3, well, there might be a lag here. The data flow has not updated the data set, the real query time against our environment, by the way. This is going against the dev environment we have. There's only 2 stages available. And that is an example where you're actually using a little bit more of the binding. Like I said, the join here is new. It's a little bit more advanced, I would say, even within the bindings. But the idea is, because bindings allow you to access all the step values, the array of the values, it allows you also to reshape them, re-edit them any way you want so that they fit where you are updating in the dashboard, in the dashboard JSON itself. Now on this dashboard also we can go to the next one, next page. Same thing, but we have a little bit more advanced. So for example, if you look at this, it says call-esque, which means in my step, my filter, if I don't select anything, so in the first step, I did not select anything, if this is null, then return for me the result. So I'm just listening. The step is on the dashboard, it executes anyway. Return for me always the 3rd row, the 3rd level, the 3rd value, sorry. In this case, we did select, it's returning the GIAS. Let's go unselect. I expect to see OIAS. So if I go back to the query, there you go. I have 2 parts. The first part is null. Let's look at it here. The first part is null. The second part is OIAS because it's a result. It doesn't matter if the user does not select, click on it or interact. It's just executing. We're reading the results. So replace the null by OIAS, hence why we see OIAS. This is another example on flatten. So we are actually using flatten inside the binding right here. So in this case, opportunity ID flatten the whole row. So we have selected nothing. There's no asterisk. It keeps null, null. All of this is null. So opportunity ID, comma null, returns all values. If I select 2, for example, the row now works. Although row by itself, as you can see, returns array of an array. This was what I was mentioning on the first page. But using flatten, we actually kicked out one of the arrays, the outside one, the square bracket, and returned a normal one, which is similar to using column as object. And this is again why some use, again, the creativity of users can go in different ways. Someone might solve this using column, just straight column, and someone might use it flatten row. Of course, there are other use cases where you will need maybe to use flatten separately or row or something like that. And let's take a look at the SACL. Now the SACL is a little bit different because if I put show details, look at the query. The original query is changed. So even in the JSON of the dashboard, this is how the query should actually look like. So if we go Control E, Control Find SACL, this is the step. Once I look at it like this, I know it's SACL. And this is the type, is SACL right here. It has this format. And when it has this format, it expects certain things. So if you go back to the SACL step right here, look at the format of a SACL, of a filter in a SACL step. It says Q equal filter Q by the field in whatever values I select. Let me go select few values. So again, if I look at it, it says Q, just focus on this for now, Q opportunity ID in an array. So when I go back to the original query, which I'm trying to bind the filter, notice I did not specify the field here. It doesn't say filter Q by opportunity ID in. This is why these data serialization, such as equality, do that job for us. So the first binding right here returns just the array of values. We get that. What as equality does with opportunity ID, it rewrites this output or the data into something like this: opportunity ID in these values with the escape the double quotes, which is understood by a SACL query. So again, as equality, what it does is rewrites the values in a format that the SACL query expects. This is similar to binding a group by. So if you see group Q by something that is binded, you will probably see dot as grouping. And for order, dot as ordering, and the list of the data serializations we had here. Dot as order, as equality, as date range, as grouping, as projection, and so on. Now the last one was one way to solve controlling dynamically the metric on this step or widget. So here it's showing sum, here it shows count. There are many ways to solve this. In this particular dashboard, we're just showing you again some of the complex ways or scenarios you can use it. So we are binding the measure to the selected measure. This is the static step, firing the value and combining the function with the field, and then putting it into the filters. Notice the filter syntax here is different. It's not opportunity ID, comma, the other binding. Just to show you that we can control it by writing a binding of the whole thing. So that's why we are using to array. So if you look all the way down to array, it's evaluating the cell step. We're selecting opportunity ID from here. It's already given. This is a value to array. The second one is the selections. In this case, it's two values. It's one value. So to array makes it as this, and then preps it in this way. And this is actually the format of the filter. Remember, it's a square bracket, another opportunity ID, comma, filter. We added the square bracket at this level, no problem. Just putting it opportunity ID into GIAS. And the other one from top, what's doing is bringing the first one, select measure, which is count, and then the field, combining them into an array. Because if we look at this one right here, this has these display and these functions, sum and amount, count and star. Again, this is one way to do it. We are going to show you actually different ways to do it. But I hope this dashboard will help you start playing around with the bindings, understanding the syntaxes, how to use them, and kind of understand that it's all about knowing what the binding is returning. That is one major important piece to know when you're dealing with bindings in the JSON of the dashboard.